Has anyone ever been in any stressful situations? Today, I'm going to talk about how you can benefit from those stressful situations. Some ways to use stress to your advantage is to examine and act on priorities, develop strategy, and to develop a positive mindset. First one I'm going to talk about is to examine and act on priorities. The main thing is that I like to do is to make a plan each day going into the day, or planning an event, or whatever the case may be for that day. Knowing what your priorities for that day and attacking them as they arise, they can provide a sense of urgency over your workload. They can limit your being stressful all the time. Nothing is more useful for inspiring us to keep moving forward than feeling of accomplishment. When you make a plan, let's say you have a baseball plan for that day for practice and you execute it to perfection and everything works smoothly, you feel accomplished. You're not as stressed going into it or during it. You feel like you've accomplished your mission for that day. The second main point I'm talking about is developing strategy. I'm a big strategy person. I spend hours among hours strategizing what I'm going to do for my baseball practice or tournaments or etc. And so it can help you limit your stress as well, and it can be a helpful tool to help you get through the stress. To use our stress effectively, we must slow down and think through the best strategies to mitigate staying stuck and ensure our movement forward. The biggest thing here is, like I said just a minute ago, if you slow down and just think through it for a minute, and it can develop, help your intelligence and just feel like you've got a good plan in place for whatever you're trying to do. The more strategy we come to learn and use, the more equipped we are for further challenges and increased success. Just like I talked about earlier, the strategy for going into a baseball tournament, if in that tournament, if you do if the plan works out like you want it to, you're going to come out on top with a win or win the whole tournament. And that's always an accomplishment that I like to have. Is I always like to win, and so if the strategy works out, it helps that I've done my part for that day. The third main point that I'm going to talk about is developing a positive mindset. You always want to be positive and never want to be negative. I'm a very optimistic person, especially when it comes to baseball. If a kid makes a mistake, I'm going to always find the positive side of what he's doing. If you don't ever want to tear a kid down or tear yourself down, so it's always to be positive and fix their mistakes, and that's one thing I always try to do. How we respond to anything is a choice, whether that is positive or negative, and that choice is up to us. That choice can be, you always want to make the right choice, and the response, there's always a consequence to every decision you make. It can be a good consequence or it can be a bad one. It just depends on how you look at it. When faced with stressful situations, positive thinkers, of course, cope more effectively than negative thinkers. Being positive always is good it always can relieve stress. If you always think negative on every situation, you can wear yourself out and not get anything accomplished. There's several different ways, or like I said earlier, going back to the strategy point, several different strategies you can do They can help relieve the stress, getting enough sleep, eating right, staying active, and making time to have fun, doing hobbies that you love doing, and etc. In conclusion, stress is not always a negative thing. There are benefits, as I've mentioned before. The benefits are, as I've already mentioned, is to develop the strategy for whatever you're trying to do, to examine and act on priorities, and to have a positive mindset. This is how you can benefit from a stressful situation in your life.